Welcome to Myth Busting Monday. I have to admit, I can't remember which week we're on, but we're at 7 or 8, something like that. So we're getting there. We're nearly at 10. Today's hopefully is going to be pretty short. I can hear you all cheering. But what I wanted to talk to you about was the myth that puppies can't go to basic obedience classes until they're 6 months old, which I think tends to be a bit of an old school dog trainer philosophy. Schools will often do puppy socialisation for dogs between kind of 12 and 18 weeks, and then they'll have a big gap and they won't let them enrol until they're 6 months old or so. Think how much dogs learn in that first 6 months. I think that you need to get your dogs enrolled with a qualified, accredited instructor as soon as possible, from at least when they can go out walking. If not, if your dog trainer will allow it, from when they've had their first vaccinations, or if your vet allows it. Some vets will and some vets won't. It all depends on your vaccinations. And if you know that all the dogs are going to be vaccinated and the hall's clean, then you should be okay. I was thinking just before about everything that puppies learn in that first 6 months. The list is extensive. And my mother-in-law has just got her first puppy in about 30 years. She's got an English pointer. No, she hasn't. She's got a German pointer. And I've been doing some training with her. I literally can't help myself. And the dog is so clever. It's just a joy to train. And we've already done in a week recognition to name, sit down, leave it, and an introduction to lead work. And I've only seen the dog twice in that time. But on top of that, she's doing house training with it. She's also teaching it not to bite, so we're doing bite inhibition. We are also going to start doing some recall training, and we have done introductions to other dogs and how to interact appropriately. We have also made sure that there's a decent name recognition. We've done some handling work, making sure that the dog's happy being handled all over. The dog has been introduced to lots and lots of new people, including grandchildren of my mother-in-law, so my little girl and her 2 cousins. We have also taught the dog where it eats. We have taught the dog not to jump up for its food. I say we, obviously I haven't done much of this, but as a kind of collective family, we have taught the dog lots and lots of things. And it's only 9 or 10 weeks old. And this is the same for anyone who has a puppy. Like, you get the dog home and your dog starts learning straight away, and it's already been learning with its mum in the litter. So if you think of everything that your dog has to learn, and some of the things are really complicated, like house training, which we discussed last week, where you are teaching your dog you can't wee here, but you have to wee here. These are quite big and quite important things, and they're quite challenging, and they take a long time for the dog to learn. So from the kind of basics of living with humans in a specific household, there's so much to learn in that environment, to teaching it some of the basics which will make your life a little bit easier, like walking on the lead, coming back when called, not nipping and biting, not jumping up, leaving things, especially if you've got kids around, or shoes, or any personal belongings with a puppy, teaching it what it can chew and what it can't chew, what are its toys and what are not. These are all things that puppies have to learn. And if they can learn all of that, then they can surely go to a class and learn some more basics. When dogs hit about 6 months, they're going into that adolescent phase. And that's a very, very challenging phase for dog owners. It's where the dogs have a lot more confidence, and so they tend to push the boundaries a little bit more, just like human teenagers. They think that they can just push it and push it and push it. And if you've done no obedience training up until that point, then that becomes a real struggle. If you've done your obedience training, even at a basic level, and just done like a 6-week course between the ages of 3 to 6 months, you have a massive toolkit of things that you can then implement into your dog when they're older. If you haven't done that and you've kind of winged it along the way, when they get to 6 months and you've got a bigger, more boisterous dog, and you don't have a toolkit of things that you can rely on, and then you take them to a puppy class, they're going to want to interact more, their hormones are going to start kicking in, they're going to want to start looking for more of like a mate, and so then you're putting them into a class situation that they might never have been in a new way of kind of thinking and learning, and you're going to have a much tougher time. You're much, much better off with a decent instructor from a young age, teaching them stuff. If you have to recap it when their hormones kick in and their recall slips a bit, then you can do that, and you can keep training all the way through that kind of first year, 18 months, 2-year period. And then after that, it is plain sailing. But if you wait and wait and wait, I just think it must be so much more difficult. I get loads of dogs coming much older who haven't been off the lead and they're 7-8 months old. That's a much more difficult thing to teach than if I've got an 8 to 10 week old puppy and I'm doing a home visit and I can get that recall started straight away, and then we're off and they're off the lead straight away, and that's normal. So just think about that next time you get a puppy, or if your friend's got one. Just make sure that if they're thinking about enrolling in a class, that they do it as soon as possible, and to speak to the trainer and make sure that it's the right class for their puppy. Don't leave it, especially don't leave it until you've got a problem, because it's so much harder to unpick. And for the sake of a few quid and a few evenings and a few hours out of your life, for the next kind of 10, 15 years of your dog's life, it's gonna make your life much easier. And it's not just me saying that. There's loads of scientific research that's out there that has covered the benefits of early training classes and socialization classes on the later behavior and temperament of the dog. So the more you put in when they're younger, it just becomes a bit easier. And then if you want to take them on and do agility or flyball or competitive, anything with your dog, you've got a really solid basis. So I hope that makes sense. I am open to any questions. I take puppies from as soon as possible. Now that evenings are coming a bit darker, we're back in a hall, and all the dogs that come to classes are vaccinated. So I know that I'm safe to take dogs that have at least had their first vaccination. So if you know someone, if you've got a puppy yourself and that's why you're watching these, then give me a call and we can discuss the best path for you and your dog training-wise going forward. Any questions, put them below. Couple more weeks of this and then I've got a new set of kind of videos coming up. I'm going to do some product reviews as well, because I seem to have an influx of things, new toys that we've got to try. So I'm going to do some product reviews that are not sponsored, just for interest, because I know there's a whole wealth of stuff out there. And as mentioned, Michaela from Posh Paws and I have a huge thing coming at the end of September. So make sure you keep an eye on what's going on our Facebook pages, because we can't wait to tell you about it. All right, I'll see you next week. Cheers, bye.